Fancy seeing you here. Come on in and let's have a look on what's happening with StarMade. So first of all, there has been no official news from the StarMade development team in over 2 years. This is naturally extremely concerning if this is a game you're waiting for. But does this mean that the game is actually completely dead? I haven't touched StarMade during the entire 2021, so no news have been dropping either. So what is happening with this game, you might wonder? Well, I had to make a deep dive into the StarMade community to find out. I have been ghosting the StarMade doc, been talking to modders, fans, and with StarMade's main developer, Schema. And in this video, I will attempt to guess where StarMade is right now and where it's going. Stay tuned. GMODISM. The game is in fact not dead. While the numbers have been declining heavily since its prime time, it has stayed around 20 players at any given time the last year. And this is only on Steam. A lot of players, me included, prefer to play the game without Steam, but that's up to you. GMODISM requesting permission to dock.
Roger that. The request to dock is granted. Please proceed to dock 1.
While the game never really died, it has definitely been hibernating, with only some hardcore fans playing it during all this time. But some fans are starting to feel like the ball has started to roll again, with new players coming onto servers and a lot of new mods and add-ons being released to the game to improve the gameplay experience. And StarMade Dock is definitely not a graveyard. Right now the game has a small but dedicated player base that seems passionate about the game. Some equally passionate, dissatisfied players still remain, wanting to get StarMade back to year 2012 when it had a huge player base. Feeling that the big updates that have changed the game basically killed it. But more updates will come, and I don't think that StarMade will get turned back to an earlier version ever. So yes, Schema, the sole official developer and owner of Schine, that, develops StarMade, does however not develop the game right now, and the reasons are the same as before. He works on other projects because of financial reasons, as he told me, and I quote, "I just need to get ahead financially so I can come back to StarMade," end quote. He states that he wants StarMade to be a good, not quickly pushed out there, and he rather let it take a long time than make it all fast. So, how can updates be coming if he can't work on the game now? And when can he work on the game, you might ask? Good questions, with no answers. Sort of. I mentioned there are some quite active modders. Turns out that after Schema has opened for people to contribute to the code and help out with some of the work, basically years ago, a handful of people actually do contribute to the code regularly. And even some smaller parts from the big universe update is being planned to be implemented and worked on. Someone is actually trying to do the universe update sound system as we speak. While there are people that are happy to help, there is also frustration for them since the game has no documentation they can follow to help out. So contributors sometimes don't know what or where help is even needed. So Schema is not developing himself. He tries to help the contributors by answering questions, explaining on what needs to be done, and some smaller general stuff. However, Schema says that the contributors can make a lot of progress, but the game will not be finished by the community. When he comes back for official development, he states that he would closely work with the current contributors. He says this, and I quote, "As someone contributes considerable parts of the code on their own time, they have not only shown that they are capable, but also that they are determined to the project. So I would definitely want to work with that person, including for planning further steps in gameplay development." End quote. So basically the current contributors might end up to be a part of the future official development team of StarMade. Schema is happy to add anyone to the repository for contributions when asked, and does his best to get back. While he is not there quite yet, he says. I haven't played much recently, but I haven't been completely idle either. So I had an idea for a bomb slinger before, and I made it now. Look, I have made a bomb slinger, and you might wonder what that is. Well, with the new weapon systems, the bombs do not have their own propulsion, you'll need to propel themselves, but the bombs will bypass shields, pretty handy. So basically, this bomb slinger will throw bombs at the enemy. Haha, kind of handy, hacking the system. Schema has some really big plans for the games, like porting it to a real game engine. Let's pray it's not Unity. And of course, the massive universe update. All of this will take much time and effort, and since Schema can't get back to developing this full-time yet, we cannot guess how long it would take, and nobody knows when he begins. Himself included, he doesn't know when he will begin. The increased community contributions does, however, give hope, but they cannot finish the game for Schema, so hopefully Schema can get back to StarMade during this year. It's actually quite shit, but whatever. It's cool. But Universe Update will probably be at least 2 years away, I would guess. But of course, I don't know, this is a guess. I'm guessing 2 years away, but, well, nobody, not me, not Schema, not anyone else, can promise anything. According to some StarLoader people, right now, folks are basically focusing on making the gameplay experience better to tide people over. And this includes mobile shipyards, caravans, and Steam Cloud support. As well as shops on ships that is apparently already out in a dev build. So stuff is happening, but of course the main part of developing the game is not really happening. Mainly the community is helping out with what it can help out with. And of course there are a lot of nice mods. So I asked Jake5 a while back, who has made a lot of mods, what mods are probably the best to add to the game to increase the gameplay experience, and he says this: for vanilla StarMade enhancement, asteroid field expander, factory automation enhancement, precise rail rotators, better fleets, extra effects, real debris, scalar mining, and there are some overhaul mods like resourced with more void and warp space. And basically, that can make the game a better single-player experience, for example, if you're looking to just explore it a little bit. And who knows, some of these features from these mods might actually get into the end product of StarMade, like in a future update. Who knows? That's just my theory, though. Let's see what some StarMade fans have to say about StarMade in its current state. GXASP says, an observation I made is that people still want to play this game. They just need something to actually do. Someone opened up a server recently, and at one point it had about 20 players, which is far more than I would have expected. Anonymous says, I think the StarMade community as a whole is just waiting for things to happen. Also, mods are being developed but aren't ready for play. Schema is letting players submit bug fixes and put them in the game, etc. Player counts are coming back a bit. Splattercat has this to say: I think the main thing to state is that despite its flaws and lack of polish, it is still possible to lose yourself in this game. Despite playing for almost 6 years, I'm still learning and developing my skills. The StarLoader community, in my experience, is very approachable, and I have been able to help them fix bugs and mods and develop new features. With servers like Chocolate Factory, people are still playing it. It would appear that both new and old players are joining in. It may now have a bit of a cult following, but seeing new players does give a glimmer of hope. If Schema does return, even if it's just to fix the minor niggles, the game has and allows the mod developers to add so much extra gameplay features. I think that I will be playing the game for another 6 years, which would make me 60. While I would only recommend people to get into StarMade for building decorative stuff for the moment, as we don't really know what will change. There are also some quite popular servers out there, both building and battling and survival servers. There are a few that actually has players, so you can check them out. If you are curious, remember that StarMade is free. You can get it on Steam. If you just go to the Steam webpage and search for StarMade, there is something that's called StarMade Demo, and this is actually the full version of the game. So you're free to try it out if you're curious. But while still enjoyable to some extent, this game gravely needs more updates and more content and a good dash of polishing. If you want to get into helping out developing and have some knowledge about game making or coding, you can join the StarLoader Discord and ask there for how to get started. This is a good place to start according to Schema, and there are some very friendly people there, I think, as well. Let's end with a quote from Schema. "It is great to see people come together in the community." And I think this sums up the current state of StarMade quite well. The community have been helping out, and still does in an increasing capacity. Some people feel that the community in general is getting more active, but all of this is just an initial movement, and the trend, we hope, continues. I will update you again when there is more news, so do stay tuned to the GMODISM channel. And until next time, this is GMODISM, signing out.